Hey, there we go. I had to like figure out how to do this, and it was like circling and circling and circling. So I refreshed the page, and here I am, Coach Mike Mack here. Yes. Hey, first, I'm no look, I'm not I'm not a lawyer. Okay, let's get this out of the way right now. I'm not a therapist. Okay, I'm not even a freaking medical doctor. Okay, who I am? Yeah, I'm the guy that's been through hell with the divorce bomb going off and all of that went on. And so I'm here to share my stories. And in fact, what we're going to do today, my very first Hatless sermon. Yes, there's a story behind that, and we'll get to that soon. But welcome to Divorce Dad Support Group, our very first CBS Convoy Broadcasting System. Oh, the camera's up here. I'm looking at myself. Very first CBS broadcasting system here. We've gone live. Look, if you have trouble, I have a premiere that we can go watch. That's my emergency backup plan. Okay, just so you know. And I will drop that link in the chat if something happens with the live. Right now, looks like live is happening. I saw someone pop on and looks like they left. That's all good. But hey, I just wanted to know that we have that. I have notes because when I go to read a scripture, which will happen, I am not a scriptorian. My grandfather was. And so let's get started. Look, I'm out away from where my hat is. That's why I'm hatless. I usually wear the hat special occasions. It's a Stetson, just like my grandfather used to have. He had like, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them that he would wear on various occasions. He had a work Stetson. He had a church one to where he went out for the town. So he had all kinds of those. And anyway, here I am out here, McDonald's parking lot, my Mick office, as I call it, coming to you live right here. Let's get started. And if you wouldn't mind, by the way, drop even in the replay, let me know if it's live, that you're catching this live. I'll see if you're live, I think. But if you catch this on the replay, put a hashtag replay in the comments for me so that I know you caught it. And that's it. I'm going to take you back now and take you back to when I was 7 years old. This is early 70s. Summers we would vacation down to my grandfather's little ranch. And that ranch, it had horses, lots of dirt, chickens, cows, you name it. It was a little ranch, and I loved it there. One of my favorite activities was in the evening when it started to get dark, we would have a campfire. And my most favorite story of all time is what my grandfather called the parable of the eagle. This story changed my life. I didn't know it at the time when I was a kid, but this story has changed my trajectory in a big way over even the past week. And so here I am sharing my story as my grandfather, my hero, my grandfather would share. And hopefully he's looking down upon me now, proud of his grandson who has gone astray and now has come back. Very religious, very biblical, knew the Bible frontwards, backwards. All right, let's dive in. There was a naturalist walking along in the forest, just walking, going through, and he came upon this clearing. And in that clearing, there's this farm, similar probably to my grandfather's farm, and he would point around to a farm. And this naturalist, as he got thirsty, went to the farmhouse to get a drink of water. And on his way to the farmhouse, he noticed in the barnyard an eagle. And this eagle was grubbing, and it wasn't just there like trying to eat the chickens. This eagle was there grubbing and pecking like the chickens. And this naturalist couldn't believe it. He forgot all about being thirsty. He raced to the door, banged on the door. The farmer and his wife come to the door, and the naturalist just blurted out, "Sir, you have an eagle over there with the chickens." And the farmer laughed. He said, "Well, that's not an eagle. That's not an eagle, sir. That is a chicken." And the naturalist just like taken back, like, "No, sir. No, sir. That right there is an eagle." And if you give me the chance, I can show you that he is an eagle. And so they walked over to this magnificent bird. The naturalist reached down, grabbed him, lifted him up, and said, Eagle, you are a mighty eagle. Spread forth your wings and fly. Well, this eagle, he's looking around and right away jumps right back down to be with his buddies, the chickens. Now, the farmer's like, see, I told you, chicken, through and through. Now, the naturalist's like, well, let me try again. And so this time, he took this magnificent bird to the top of the hayloft. And as my grandfather would point, having a barn similar with a hayloft, pointed to the door up there and said, up to the hayloft. And there's a little ledge. And the naturalist took this magnificent bird, same thing, out and lifted him up and said, Eagle, you are a mighty eagle. Spread forth your mighty wings and fly. Now, this time, the eagle is starting to look around like nervous, and he sees his friends, the chickens, back down there in the barnyard. And what does he do? He uses those mighty wings just to swoop down to be back on the ground with his buddies, the chickens. Now, by this time, the farmer's like, see, he's a chicken through and through. There's nothing you can do that can help him to figure out that he's an eagle. The naturalist thinks for a moment and he says, can I have one more chance? And the farmer's like, sure, what are you thinking? The naturalist says, what if we all go on a little trip in the morning, early in the morning? I have a place I'd like to go with this magnificent bird. So he does. And that next morning, very early, before dawn, they take off and they go. They journey to this spot at a great base of a great mountain. And now here, the naturalist, he lifts up this magnificent bird. And he says, Eagle, you are an eagle. Spread forth those mighty wings and fly. And the eagle, he starts to tremble, and he's looking around. And you can imagine he's looking around for who? He's looking around for his buddies, his friends, the chickens, who are back at the barnyard, the farm. And the eagle, he shudders, but then he doesn't fly. This time, with the sun peeking up over the horizon, you can just imagine the sunlight across the crevices of this great mountain. He now turns the eagle so his eyes are directly into the sun. And this time he lifts this magnificent bird and says, Eagle, you are a mighty eagle. Spread forth your wings and fly. This time, with a shudder and a liftoff, that magnificent bird, the eagle, spread forth his wings and soared. Not the end of the story, because my grandfather would come over to me and he'd go like this. He'd put his finger and he'd tap me and he'd say, Mikey, that was his name for me. I didn't like it at the time. I'm okay with it now. Mikey, today you acted like a chicken. He would point, he would just tap like, and not hard. And then he would take his big hand and basically covered my whole chest, but he would cover my heart and he would say, Mikey, you have the heart of an eagle. Okay, now let's my question for you: who raised you? Simple question, open-ended. Who raised you? And of course, you're thinking, let's see, am I an eagle? I'm just thinking here. Let's see, am I an eagle that got raised by chickens? You see, what happens is divorce is an identity thief. Okay, it steals who we are. We're married, we come into this divorce, we're a full-time dad, we got things going on, we're doing great, and then the divorce bomb goes off, and then we're standing in the wreckage, and all of a sudden, somehow or another, we become a part-time dad. And we get other people telling us things like, you're a walking wallet, you're an ATM, You're a part-time dad. Hell, her lawyer's probably saying you're the problem. And these things start to grind on you and grind on you. And pretty soon you're grubbing and pecking on the ground. Scratching and clawing for time with your kids. And you know, at this time, with you grubbing and pecking like that, you begin to forget. You forget that inside you're an eagle. This chokes me up because little side note, I spent more than a decade acting like a chicken after my divorce. I'll just say that. uh, okay, enough of that one. You get the idea. You went from being the eagle and married. Now the divorce bomb goes off, and slowly over time, you begin to believe what other people are saying, and the distance that happens. Pretty soon, you're grubbing and pecking with the chickens for scraps. All right. You're no longer the eagle that has freedom and can hunt and fish. You're now waiting for the farmer to come with the scraps. You're waiting for the courts to tell you when you can see your kids. You're waiting for your ex to allow you, and she still gets in the way of getting things done, and you still feel like you're the problem. Yeah, you got the point. Isaiah. Let's go to scripture for a second. Yeah, I got to read it. Isaiah, it says, those who wait on the Lord will mount up on wings of eagles. Oof, I love that. But here's what most people miss. Eagles. Eagles, when the storm comes, the divorce storms come, eagles, they don't flap their wings. I don't know if you know that or not. Eagles are built for the storm. I'm going to say that again. Eagles are built for the storm. You're going to say, like, Coach Mike Mack, what the hell are you talking about, right? Or should we say, preacher Mike Mack right now, the Hatless preacher, talking eagles and chickens for a second. No, the eagle really is built for the storms. The eagle doesn't flap up there. He's got special bones. I don't remember what they're called, but they lock in, and then this eagle soars with his wings spread, and the winds from the divorce storm lift him. Oh, do you catch that? Do you catch that? Go back to the verse now. Those who wait on the Lord will mount up with wings like eagles. We are built, we have a heart of the eagle. I'm going to talk about the eyes in a second. We can have wings like eagles. We can lock in those wings, and when the winds come from the divorce storm, we can then be lifted as God directs us to lock in our wings and soar. Not flapping like, what is flapping? That's the chicken. When the chicken is flap, why? And I used to tease my brother about being chicken all the time. And I got another story that I won't go into because this will end up being way too long. And that's me, the storyteller that wants to go everywhere. That's why I have notes. Okay. You're going to see me look up at notes. I'm not reading an exact script. I have Eagle's true nature. That's the note that I have up there. And I have the verse. Eagles are built for the storm. Okay. Divorce storm, that produces the winds. That gives you the lift. Now, here's another scripture real quick. Proverbs chapter 30, verse 19. The eagle's way in the sky is mysterious strength. Mysterious strength. Strength, I think, in the eyes. This is what I think this means to me. Chickens, what do they see? They're looking at the ground, looking at the ground. What about the eagle, his vision can see afar off. He's got targeted vision, especially when he's hungry, right? When he's out there hunting, it doesn't matter how high he soars, he can see the little rabbit down there move, and he's on it, on a beeline. Ooh, we can be that. We can be that. We don't have to be the chicken on the ground flapping our wings. We can be the eagle soaring above the storm, above all the other dramas and stuff that all right, another scripture. Another backup, okay? Yeah. Psalms 103 verse 5. Your youth is renewed like the eagles. Oh, I love that one. It gives you youthful energy. Youthful energy. Why? Because I think now you get a new perspective. You're not down grubbing and pecking with because that's stressful, isn't it? Think about it. How stressful is it for the eagle built to soar to be down there with his buddies, the chicken, pecking around and looking for scraps? It's got to be the most frustrating, stressful thing you can ever think of, right? Oof. Now, here's the question. When did you stop soaring and start scratching? Ooh, ouch. Ouch. That one hurts because this one for me, it didn't take me long to go from soaring to scratching because of my circumstances of coming home one day to an empty house, and I just don't know how long I stood in that doorway staring at the twin bed mattress that was left on the floor where our queen bed used to be. That was my signal that our marriage had ended. It had ended in an instant like that. I mean, and that's what I dealt with after 24 years of marriage. So that's where I'm coming on. You remember when I said I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor even. This is who I am. I'm the guy who came home to find the house empty, thinking that somehow or another we had gotten robbed, to the point of realization that the break-in wasn't a break-in, it was a total breakup, and it was a break free from me. I did not know where she went and took the kids with her. Story for another time, but that's who I am. That's why I do what I do, because then from that point, it took me a decade of driving solo to figure this thing out, and I don't want that for you. And so here I am sharing this story from my grandfather that has changed the direct trajectory of my life from being on the ground with my friends, the chickens, to being able to soar in the heavens because of God's calling that has called me to do this kind of work. Even though I'm 2 hours away from my kids right now, even though I don't have my hat, even though leave all those things aside, I got the call. I'm here now, hatless, preaching, and I'm hoping that it has helped someone to feel less alone. All right. Let's go to these chicken behaviors, because when that happened, I started doing some stuff that is chicken-like, like my grandfather saying, you acted scrolling. If I had an extra phone around here, I'd be like scrolling. Okay. Chicken behavior. You're just looking for the scraps. You're looking for that little tiny dopamine hit, right? Is that what it is? Dopamine hit when you're oh, that's funny, and then you get and then you go back, oh, and then that's what that is. Okay, that it's you're grubbing and pecking for scraps of little dopamine hits. That's chicken behavior. Okay, chicken behavior number 2. I'm just talking about what I do. Okay, that scrolling is one. Here's another one. Isolating. This one, I did. I went solo, guys. Solo. I drove this inner big rig solo. I did not ask for help. I did not join a support group. I did not have any of those things 20 years ago when I suddenly was thrust into being I don't know who because my identity had been stolen, had been ripped. It wasn't just stolen, it was ripped away from me. One moment, I'm a full-time dad, a provider, a protector, and the next moment, I'm not, with my wife and my kids suddenly gone. And now, I don't know who I am. I not only lost her, lost the house, lost my job, I ended up losing me in the process. And when I lost me, I did not know what to do, and I stood in that wreckage of my divorce, staring at the rearview mirror for years and years, almost a decade, until I finally figured out how to reemerge and find myself. And so that's me. Okay, that's chicken behavior number 2 of the isolation that I did, driving solo. Number 3, I reacted. And I still do this sometimes. I've learned it's a basically reaction compared to a response. Reactions come from when you're in the passenger seat. Passenger seat's over here. In the passenger seat, I'm sitting in the driver's seat. In the passenger seat, when you've got someone else driving and they do something that you don't like, that makes you nervous, you react and you get scared and you react and you get mad. That's reaction. When you're in the driver's seat, you respond. You check your mirrors, your gauges, your head. You're being a good driver, and so that you can respond to changing road conditions, to changing traffic conditions, for changing whatever that's around you, you respond. See the difference? I wasn't responding back then. I was reacting to every little thing, and I would get mad in a drop of a hat that I can't drop right now. All right. Let's talk about some stats that I recently found out, and these stats they blew my mind, and I think I'm about ready to blow your mind, brother, because this first stat, a divorced dad, 6 times more likely to experience depression than their married counterparts. Wow, 6 times, guys. Their female counterparts who are divorced moms, get this, a divorced dad is 9, can I get them all in there? 9 times more likely to feel depressed as a divorced dad than a divorced mom. What? Think about it. What did I just tell you I did when that divorce bomb went off? What did I do? As a man, I withdrew. I became a solo driver. I drove this inner big rig right here by myself. I didn't reach out. I was scared to reach out. Everybody was shaming me. I went from going to church and being involved and doing all the things that a protector, a provider would do, going to work, all those things. And all of a sudden, my identity ripped away from me. And then what do I have left? I didn't know what to do. So what did I do? I just folded and I stayed alone. That was me. And so now I understand these stats. I understand why a divorced dad gets 9 times the chances of being depressed than a divorced mom. Why? Think I'm going to generalize here. Okay, don't go thinking this is the rule that applies to everyone. No. Here it is. What do women normally do? They like to talk. They will talk it out. They have their girlfriends and they chit chat. Guys, we don't do that much. We go to the ball game. We go and we're not talking heavy stuff. We high five and we have fun and we drink beer and we talk about work and fishing and trucks and engines and big rigs and all that fun stuff that guys like to do. We never go deep diving. What? No. Women, in their chit chats. I mean, I haven't been involved. I haven't, been there to know exactly, but 9 times difference? I think I think there's something there that we need to learn from the ladies, and that learning is how to not be so alone. The ladies, the divorce moms, they know how to reach out. They know how to say, "Man, I'm struggling. I don't know how to do this." And then as a divorced dad, I don't think we have that ability. Not not innately. I think, we have to learn that. And so here I am helping you to learn how to not be a chicken and to be an eagle. All right. Whew. That one, whoa, that one hits hard right there. All right, here we go. I've told you a bunch of stuff here, okay? And I come down to a point where now how do we fix this? How do we, you know, I've told you some heart stories, but how do we actually get in and fix some of the stuff that helps us to be the divorced dad that shows up for our kids? No matter what else is happening, how do we get to that point from that wreckage where we've had our identity stripped from us and we're grubbing and pecking on the ground? How do we get moving? And so this next little part here, the load I just dropped on you is heavy, right? Did you feel that? The load we as divorced dads have, that we carry with us, that I carried with me for a decade, very, very heavy. And what did I do? I said, I want to do this and this and this and this. And I made a list of about, I don't know, eight things, right? And I said, and then what happens? Nothing. What's happening there is that it's like, when you've got a big rig on a hill like I did, I missed a gear and I was fully loaded. I was going up a steeper hill than I had ever done in my career, 10 years in, and I miss a gear. And I miss another one, and I miss another one. I end up stuck on this hill, steep hill, in a fully loaded big rig. And that's what I'm talking about right now. How do you get started from that point? Fully loaded big rig, steep incline. How do you get started? You can't put it in eighth gear. You can't have the list of 8 things and expect to be able to get moving. That's where I'm going with this. I hope you're feeling me right now. What I call this is, and then what happened in that true story is, I got angry. Okay, I'm the professional. I got angry. You know what? And I killed it 3 times trying to get started again. Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I talk real. I talk honest right here. I I slammed it into granny gear. And then once I got moving, I went, I'm not shifting. Okay. I finished climbing that hill in granny gear. This is your granny gear moment right now, that I want you to pick one thing. And I'll tell you my one thing that happened just over this last couple of days. I've been so focused doing this stuff that I didn't shower. Now, you see the reason I didn't shower now, because of that, because of how busy I was, and I just didn't want to break away to take my shower. Let me tell you something. When you see this, and I haven't showered for a day or 2, and I get kinda grungy, that means I'm depressed. Yeah, yeah. That's what I used to do, not take showers. And so when I took the shower this morning, after 2 days of not having a shower, I took a shower this morning, and that came back to me, reminding me that's one of the secret signs. We're a divorced dad. We're not gonna be over there crying in the corner, okay? We're not gonna be doing that. We're not gonna be showing signs. We're gonna have the happy face. "Oh, yeah, how are we doing?" "Oh, I'm doing good." "Yep, great." "How you doing?" But inside, we're suffering, we're hurting, we're in pain. That was me. The secret sign for me was, when this gets scraggly, this is getting scraggly now, but it's clean. I took a shower, Okay, I put different clothes on. I've got clean clothes on. I don't stink. Okay. So, but that taking a shower today after 2 days of not because of what I've been doing now, it changed. That's my granny gear. I didn't go into 8th gear and try to climb that hill. I put it into freaking granny gear and I said I'm going to take a shower. That's the only one thing. That's my granny gear. I take a shower. I don't care if I crawl to the shower. If I'm feeling I'm gonna get something. Now you might be feeling like you're maybe you're on all fours. I don't care if you got to crawl, brother. I don't care if you're laying on the ground and the only way you can move is to roll. At least roll onto your back so you can see the stars, so that you can see where to go to spread your wings and fly. That's what we talking about with the granny gear, something to be able to do. Choose your granny gear, whatever it is. Maybe it's riding something. Um, yeah, just pick one thing. Ooh, okay. All right, let me take you back to the campfire for a second. And I'm going to do for you what my grandfather did for me over 5 decades ago, okay? Brother, you've been acting like a chicken. You've been grubbing and pecking and scratching and clawing for looking for more time with your kids. You've been grubbing and pecking. But brother, I know you have a heart of the eagle, brother. And I want you to know this. You I'm trying to lift you up right now, and I'm telling you, eagle, spread forth your mighty wings and fly. Okay? That's what my grandfather did for me 5 decades ago, and now I'm doing the same for my divorced dads who I've been called to help, who I've been called to serve. That's it, my brothers. That's it. That's the whole crux, and I'll end with this. This is you notice this is my first Hatless sermon. This is going to be recurring every week, every Sunday, 3 p.m. So next week, another Hatless sermon. Next week, I can tell you it's going to be this 3 words. Am I justified? That's the tease for next week. That's next week's uh, topic. Come back. I won't have my hat. It's not here. I miss it. Let me tell you about the hat for 1 second before I leave. The hat's a Stetson. You probably see it on my stuff. If you see maybe my Google, I'm in the big rig and I'm leaning out and I've got my Stetson on. That's the only picture I have of me being in the big rig before I rolled over and stopped driving, of me in the big rig with my Stetson on. That Stetson is symbol of my grandfather. My grandfather is now saving my life because of the damn stories he told me as a kid around the campfire. This eagle that lived like a chicken is one of them. And I've got plenty more. Don't worry. We're not going to run out of stories because I learned from my grandfather how to tell stories, ones that will inspire, ones that'll make you laugh, ones that'll make you cry. I've got stories up the yin yang, and I'm going to stay hatless. I don't know. I might bring it with me at some point, but right now it's 2 hours away. I won't get in all the details of why, but that hat symbolizes, it's a symbol, a sacred symbol for me. Okay? That's why I named this series the Hatless Sermon, because now I'm without my hat. I'm without my identity. Just like when my wife suddenly left with the kids and stripped me of my identity in one moment and took me a decade to figure that out. This story, oh man, I don't have any freaking, I don't even have any napkins or, oh wait, I got a McNap. It's golden. Uh, it's a golden McNap, that's acting as a tissue right now. All right, guys, I'm apologize for that. that identity got stripped away. I spent a decade solo driving. My message to you, you're not alone. 3 simple words. That's how God called me to do what I'm doing now. He let me know that I'm not alone and that he would be with me. And he said, now go tell your divorced dads that. And so I'm building this. I call it CBS, my Convoy Broadcasting System. It's a broadcasting station. I'm using YouTube as my broadcasting station, my Convoy Broadcasting System. This right here is the pilot episode to bring help, support. Because no, I'm not a lawyer. No, I'm not a therapist. No, I'm not even a medical doctor. But I am the guy that went through some shit. Oh, I'm sermon, right? Hey, I'm a pastor. Not really. A pastor without a Bible who has to read scripture off of the, my grandfather, he could have rattled those scriptures off like they were a part of him, and they were. And man, I appreciate you guys for if you stayed on this long. I appreciate you. I love you. One last thing, you're not alone. I love you guys. Whew. Stay tuned. More to come. Oh, it's not a touch screen. I'm on my laptop and it's not a touch screen. My iPad is a touch screen. Look at, hey, I'm not even a video guy. This is this is the mothership. I don't even know how to, I don't have a license to drive this thing. I mean, I don't know. All right. End stream. Y'all have a great rest of your week. I'll be seeing you along the way. If you haven't, subscribe, join the convoy. We're going to have fun. We're going to be just rolling along, singing a song like I used to say when I was truck driving. See y'all later.